Hey, sports fans. This is Robert with WTP Sports Dudes, jumping on to do the Texas Longhorns versus Vanderbilt preview. As you all know, Texas took an L last week to Georgia, so they're looking to bounce back and rebound from that loss and play a lot better than they did last week. So, in this preview, I'm going to talk about uh, Texas's defense against Vanderbilt's offense. I'm also going to talk about Vanderbilt's defense against Texas's offense. So I'm gonna see how much I know about my Longhorns, and hopefully, when I watch this game tomorrow, some of the things that I point out will actually take place in that game. But before I get into that, Texas is going to be without starting wide receiver Isaiah Bond, who is their number one wide receiver. And they're also going to be without Andrew Makuba, which means we're going to be starting another safety in tomorrow's game, and that's Jelani McDonald. So Jelani McDonald will get his first start um, in that game against Vanderbilt tomorrow. The good thing about that is Vanderbilt's not a big passing team, but I'll get into that here in a little bit. So tomorrow, Texas will play Vanderbilt in Nashville at 4:15. I really should have put myself in position to go to this game because I really do love Nashville, but I've chosen to go to a different game in Austin because I've never been to a game in Austin, but I have been to see Texas play in Maryland back when they played Maryland several years ago, back during the Tom Herman era. So Texas's defense against Nashville's offense. Of course, if you ever watch Nashville, Vanderbilt, you know that Vanderbilt likes to run the football. They like to control the clock. They want to have the time of possession 40 minutes for them, 20 minutes for the opposing team. They want to try to double up the time of possession on every team that they play. They love to run the football. They don't mind getting 4, 5 yards of play and just having long 15, 16, 17 play drives. And that's what they're going to try to do to the Texas Longhorns because I'm quite sure they feel like their defense cannot contain Texas's offense. So they want Texas to have the least amount of possessions as possible. So tomorrow, Diego Pavia, the quarterback for Vanderbilt, he's a dangerous quarterback. He likes to run the option, the triple option, and he likes to run the ball whenever his number is called or whenever he sees that the defense is not containing their gap integrity and whenever the linebackers and the defensive backs are not using their eye discipline. So whenever your defense alignment are not taking care of their gap integrity, that creates seams for the quarterback to get loose, the running back to get loose, and it also makes it an issue for the linebackers because linemen can peel off of the linemen that they're blocking to get to linebackers. And Texas doesn't want that to happen. Texas want to stay in their gap integrity with their defensive linemen so that way the linebackers can force and make plays and make tackles and tackles for loss and even create forced fumbles. And we're hoping that's what takes place tomorrow. And I think in this game, Texas is probably going to use Baron Sorrell and Ethan Burke at the defensive end positions because those two are the best two players at the defensive end position against the run. Also, Justice Finkley is very good against the run. So I'm quite sure that all three of those defensive ends will get a lot of playing time tomorrow against Vanderbilt, a team that really likes to run the football. They really try to get you to bite on the fake so that they can run the option. And they also want the defensive backs to get lulled to sleep, thinking it's always going to be run, 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 and then they throw the ball to their tight end or to one of their receivers over your head if you're not paying attention and you get lulled to sleep because you think Vanderbilt's going to keep on running the football. They will throw the football whenever they feel like the opportunity presents itself once they have lowered your defensive backs and your safeties to sleep. So Texas has to make sure that they have the eye discipline and are always engaged on every defensive play because Vanderbilt is always trying to find an opportunity for them to make some yardage, to keep the first downs going, and to keep the drive going so that they can have, like I said earlier, 15, 16, 17 play drives that eat up 5, 6, 7 minutes so that they can keep your offense on the sideline. So it's very important that Texas defensive linemen have a very, very good game and they keep gap integrity. I would even like to see Texas play three defensive tackles in this game and two defensive ends and go down to a bare front, which is five defensive linemen. I would like to see Texas do that against Vanderbilt. Whenever Texas plays against teams that like to run the option, that's what they try. They usually do. They'll run a couple of bare fronts so that they can go ahead and get some stops on first and second down. That makes it a lot easier for them on third down. So I would like to see them use that bare front as often as they deem it necessary. But if they can do it with the four-man front, do your thing. But the five-man front really creates issues for Vanderbilt because they can't block those ends. At that point, those ends can be free a lot of times, making the quarterback pitch so that they can still get to that running back as well. But we got to make sure that our defensive backs are playing sound defense on those corners so that they don't let a guy get over their head. And we don't necessarily need to play man-to-man coverage against Vanderbilt because, whenever you get caught in a man-to-man and you guarding your man, you got your back to the quarterback and they can make some plays on your side of the field if you're not paying attention because you're playing man-to-man. So I'm quite sure Texas will be playing some type of zone with their defensive backs and safeties. I think this is going to be a good game for Anthony Hill, Baron Sorrell, Ethan Burke, the defensive tackles, along with David Bender. And even I'm quite sure Michael Taft will get a lot of tackles in this game too. He'll probably be the one coming down in that box to make sure that we got an extra man in that box to stop that run game and just let Jelani McDonald run free back there. Or they might flip it around. They might let Jelani McDonald come down in the box to stop the run and let Taft, since he's more of a more experienced player, play the deep coverage for us. But I believe Jelani McDonald was a little faster than Michael Taft. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good idea. But either way it goes, they're going to play solid defense. They're going to be prepared for what Vanderbilt wants to do because they faced it last year against Kansas when Jalen Daniels was hurt and they had to go with Bean at the quarterback. And they run a triple option kind of concept as well. And Texas did pretty good against Kansas last year, only giving up 14 points. Texas offense against Vanderbilt's defense. Vanderbilt's defense really isn't that good. It's not really that good. They don't do anything well defensively. They don't stop the run well. They don't stop the pass well. But what I would like to see Texas do is run the football. I would be very excited if they came out in 12 personnel, which is one running back, two tight ends, and just ran the football right down Vanderbilt's throat. But we all know Steve Sarkisian likes to set up the run with the pass, so he'll probably come out throwing the ball. And a lot of times Texas will throw seven, eight, nine passes in a row before they run the football to start a game. And I'm hoping they don't do that this game. I'm hoping that they come out, establish the run, get a nice long drive, and then get Vanderbilt defense tired, get their Vanderbilt's offense a three and out, and then come back with your offense again, and then you can start throwing the ball all over the place. Because for one, I think Vanderbilt's going to play two high safeties, which is going to allow Texas to run the football. And also, they're going to try to make sure that they don't let any of the Texas wide receivers get over their head. So they're going to keep their safeties back. But that plays into Quinn Ewers' strengths. Quinn Ewers is a good short ball thrower and medium level ball thrower. Those are the kind of passes he likes to throw. He's very accurate throwing those passes in the intermediate and the short game. His long ball isn't that good. Now, Arch Manning's long ball is good, and his short ball is good, but his intermediate ball isn't good. So this plays into Quinn Ewers' hands because he wants to throw short and intermediate, unlike Arch Manning, who wants to throw long. So I think this is a good game for Quinn Ewers to get back on track, to get his rhythm, to get his confidence back up, and to quit worrying about being injured. I think he can go out there and have a very good game. I really do believe he's going to throw for over 300 yards and have at least three passing TDs in this game. But I also believe that Texas is going to rush for at least two touchdowns in this game. And I think this is a huge game for both of the running backs, Trey Wisner and Jalen Blue. I think both of them are going to have big games in this game. I think Jalen Blue's big game is going to come in the passing game, catching the ball out of the backfield, while Trey Wisner, his is going to come running between the tackles and on wide zone and inside zone runs. So I really do believe that our running backs are going to get back on track because they didn't do well against Georgia last week. Georgia's defense, they came to play. You can't take anything away from Georgia. I just hope that Texas get a chance to play Georgia again in the SEC championship game. I think the outcome will be a bit different because Texas will be ready to play. They're going to want some revenge, and I think that'll be an excellent SEC championship game. But back to Texas offense against Vanderbilt's defense. Texas is really down to four wide receivers right now. They started the season with six, but with Isaiah Bond out for this game, and Jonte Cook really hasn't been playing a lot of snaps here lately. I hope that he has gotten back in the fold because he's a really good receiver. He's really dynamic. He has good routes. And I just hope that whatever's going on with him and the coaches, that it gets ironed out because he's a hard worker as well. So I hope that he gets back in the fold so that we can have five receivers that we can count on instead of four. But I believe that since Isaiah Bond will be out, we'll see a lot more of Ryan Wingo, which is the true freshman number 5, and then Silas Bowden. And I think this is a game where Silas Bowden will probably break through and get a punt return for a touchdown, or at least a punt return that flips the field and put the ball into Vanderbilt's territory so Texas can get a short field and an easy chance to score. And I even think Matthew Golden might break one of those kickoff returns too. Hopefully, it's the first time that Vanderbilt kicks off, and it's either at the start of the game or in the second quarter, but not after a field goal or a touchdown. Also, offensively, I think um, Quinn Ewers will find a rhythm, and he'll have a good game, a bounce back game from the game he had against Oklahoma and Georgia, where he didn't play so well. But I think he got that injury in his head. I think that he just really hasn't been setting his feet. Even against Georgia, he had some opportunities where he could have stepped up in the pocket and made a play, and he didn't. But I think he was just flustered. Georgia was coming after him, and to come back after injury and play Oklahoma, and their defense is good, they were coming after him. I think he was just a little rattled. But this game was a game where he can get his feet set, get himself gathered and under control, and get his rhythm back so that once we go into that bye week after the Vanderbilt game, he can be ready to close out the season, the last four games that we have against Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. Excuse me. So hopefully, he can have a good game and he can be ready to roll. Because I know he's looking over his shoulder with Arch Manning coming in the game last week against Georgia. I know he's looking over his shoulder. I just hope that he has a good game so that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder for the rest of this season. Arch Manning will have plenty of time to play next year. And if something happens to Quinn, but I hope it's not because Quinn isn't performing and they take him out the game. I really do hope that he get his confidence back and he goes out there and balls out against Vanderbilt. And I think this is the perfect opponent defensively for him to face to get back on track like he was at the beginning of the season when he was putting up some serious numbers and he was the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Bright spots out there. I, I'm I don't like the fact that Isaiah Bond is not going to play, but I do like the fact that it gives opportunities for Silas Bolton and the true freshman Ryan Wingo. This will really help Ryan Wingo get prepared for what his role is going to be next year, because we're probably going to lose Isaiah Bond to the NFL, and we're going to lose Silas Bolton so he just will run out of eligibility. So we're going to really need Ryan Wingo next year because those two wide receivers will be gone from the team next year. So hopefully Ryan Wingo will get the opportunity to get some catches, to get that reverse that he always gets in mostly every game that he plays in, and we can put up some good numbers. I'm predicting that Texas will win this game 34-10. That's my prediction in this game. I really don't think that Vanderbilt's offense really scares the Texas defense. Even though, like I said earlier, they have to make sure that they keep gap integrity because Pavia, man, that quarterback for Vanderbilt, he is very, 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 very slick. And if you're not, and he's played a lot of football, and if you're not using your eye discipline and you're not using your gap integrity, he can take advantage of that. And we saw what he did against Alabama when they beat Alabama earlier in the year, and they went to Kentucky and beat Kentucky too, and they beat Virginia Tech. I mean, how many of us who have ever watched Vanderbilt football will be able to say, man, this year Vanderbilt's going to be able to beat Alabama, Virginia Tech, and Kentucky? Man, listen, we all would have lost our money if we was betting on against Vanderbilt doing that. But they did it. And they're looking to try to upset Texas as well. But I believe Texas is going to be game for them. And maybe if they came off of a win against Georgia, Vanderbilt could probably get them because Texas will be running on high, and they'd be thinking, "Oh man, we just gonna crush Vanderbilt." Probably just like Alabama thought, and probably just like Kentucky thought, and probably just how Virginia Tech thought, and then Vanderbilt would have been able to pop Texas. But Texas has got something to prove. They got it handed to them in that first half against Georgia, and they want to come and show the world, listen, we're that team that you have ranked number one, and I believe they're going to show that tomorrow against Vanderbilt. I really wish I would have put myself in position to go to that game because I really do love Nashville, but I decided I'm going to go when they play Kentucky and Austin because I really do want to experience a game in Austin, Texas, in Texas home field at DKR. So I'll get an opportunity to do that. Everything is set for me to do that, so I'm looking forward to it. But I wanted to jump on real quick and do that preview of the Texas versus Vanderbilt game. Please leave your comments, your thoughts. Do you think Texas is going to win? Tell me what you think the score might be. Also, leave some comments on how well you think our show is going. Give us some good feedback, some constructive criticism, because we really want to grow this channel, WTP Sports Dudes. We also want to grow Level Up Sports Team and City League TV. So please leave some comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. And let me know if you think Texas is going to pull out this victory against Vanderbilt and what you think the score might be. Okay.